Hi friends, this reflection is for the 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Oftentimes when we go to cemeteries, we see the person that have these creative messages or what was their legacy. Now, there's always the generic, like, father, grandfather, friend, uncle, husband, the list goes on, right? Then there are some that have these something that just may give you guys a chuckle, be like, or maybe they give you the thing clearly. Every time I go to Arlington National Cemetery, which is in Washington, D.C., and yeah, you can see D.C. from there, believe me, if you're at a certain point. I always enjoy reading the legacy of the final resting place of the men and women who served our country. Some were killed during conflict. Others, they survived, yet they left behind a legacy. And I think as we look at the legacy here, I think it's something for us to grasp. In the book of Wisdom, we are told about the night of the Passover, which was known beforehand to our fathers. So it was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And of course, often our faith is going to be put to the test. If there's one question we must ask ourselves, we'll be born and then we're going to die. But in between matters most. What is our legacy going to be? We look at Abraham, who fathered Isaac. God made a covenant with him that he will make descendants as infinite as the multitude of stars that were seen in the night sky. In Psalm 33, we are reminded, "See, the eyes of the Lord are upon you, those who fear him." Our soul waits for the Lord, who is our help and our shield. In St. Paul's letter to the Hebrews, he tells us that faith is a realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen. Because of it, the ancients were well attested. He goes on to say that Abraham obeyed through faith when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive an inheritance. But if there's one thing that we all must do, we must never be afraid. Through faith, Abraham sojourned to the promised land, as in a foreign country, dwelling with Isaac and Jacob. And soon enough, his legacy was forever. In the Gospel according to Luke that is chosen for this Sunday, we hear about Jesus talking about girding your loins, and he basically continuing what he was saying from last week when he was referring to knowing what are of value that we are. And I think we can always find value in him because he created us out of love. What Jesus is telling us is that there's a kingdom that is about to come. And it wasn't going to be of this earth, but rather it was one that was going to come into the next life. As a movie buff, I always remember the first line from Russell Crowe's Gladiator that came out back in 2000. And in that movie, before they were going off to battle and eventually they would win, Maximus addressed his soldiers, equivalent to, say, like a locker room speech. And he would say to them, what we do in life echoes through eternity. And I think it's profound words to really understand what can we get out of these readings. As I mentioned, and I always remember a funeral I went to, a neighbor of mine's brother-in-law was given the eulogy, and he began saying, in life there's a beginning and an end, but what matters most is what comes in between those two events. I think for us, we have to understand that, life is going to have a lot of twists and turns, but what you do about it will echo forever. How are we living out our faith? How do you plan to instruct those who have no knowledge of God? How do we plan to fulfill the works of mercy? How do we plan to evangelize to those, especially those who don't know God or maybe have forgotten about Him? How do we help those who are looking to heal from past wounds? These are really good questions to really ponder as we head into the 19th week of Ordinary Time. But always remember, and to quote another movie from Black Hawk Down, when one soldier seemed like he's hesitant to go into combat, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do this or go back into it, but he's reminded, what you do now makes a difference. So what are you doing right now that's making a difference? What kind of productivity are you putting in with the faith? Are we praying? Are we going to Mass every Sunday? Blessed. Are we giving back? Are we supporting our church? Financially, spiritually, socially? Are we willing to be a faithful example to others? Let us walk by faith, friends. And let us prepare for the kingdom of God now. God bless.